Hello and welcome to this introduction video about self-defense. My name is Fabian, and in the next 15 to 20 minutes I'm going to give you some information about self-defense. First of all, I want to talk about why I made this video. I was contacted by the Community Wardens a few weeks ago, and it told me that more and more students contacted them because they felt unsafe recently, especially at this time of the year when it's already getting dark at 4 p.m. Now, before I start, I want to properly introduce myself and explain why it is me making this video for you. My name is Fabian Burkhardt, and I'm currently in my third year of my PhD in the School of Metallurgy and Materials. I grew up in Germany and started Taekwondo at the age of 12. I am now a fourth dan in Taekwondo, and I have been an instructor in various clubs in Germany, Slovenia and Great Britain for the past 6 years. For the past 2 years, I have been training here at the University of Birmingham, and in cooperation with the Community Wardens, we have held many self-defense classes since 2018. Usually, the Community Wardens and I would run self-defense classes in the guild at this time of the year, to help you feel safe. Unfortunately, this year we can't meet in person. Instead, I decided to make this video to give you some advice on how to stay safe. The following video will be entirely theoretical due to two main reasons. First, teaching self-defense via video is not working very well. It is hard for me to show you how to perform the techniques, and without me being in the same room as you, it is nearly impossible for me to give you feedback. And second, to learn self-defense you need a partner. Without a partner it does not make sense to practice self-defense. In addition, we usually punch and kick on kick paddles and kick shields to give you a sense of how it feels. As most of you don't have that equipment at home, self-defense classes will have to take place in person only. Nevertheless, there are some tips I can give you in this video that can keep you safe and maybe take away some of the fears you might have. I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible but informative at the same time. If you have any questions because I did not go into detail enough, please contact me via social media. I will put up all the ways for you to contact me in the end of this video. And if you see this on YouTube, you can also find the links in the description below. I will collect all your questions and answer the most common ones in a second video. If your question will not be in the video, I will take the time to answer to you personally. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's start with briefly talking about the question. What is self-defense? Let's start with the boring version. Self-defense is a countermeasure that involves defending the health and well-being of oneself from harm. The use of the right of self-defense as a legal justification for the use of force in times of danger is available in many jurisdictions. According to the Criminal Law Act of 1967, Part 1, Section 3, a person may use such force as is reasonable in the circumstances in the prevention of crime or in effecting or assisting in the lawful arrest of offenders or suspected offenders or of persons unlawful at large. So what does this mean exactly? It means that self-defense is the act of protecting yourself or others from potential or impending harm from someone else. It's as easy as that. Okay, now that we know what self-defense is, we can look at the stages of self-defense. Generally, we can divide self-defense in three main stages. First, avoidance. Second, de-escalation. And third, self-defense. Where within self-defense we can distinguish between preemptive self-defense and reactive self-defense. Today I want to focus on the first two parts, the prevention. For the third part we will have to meet in person, as this is where we learn the physical techniques. Let's talk about prevention. When people think about self-defense, this part is often forgotten. But out of the 3 stages of self-defense, the first 2 are prevention. These 2 are also the most important stages, and every serious self-defense instructor will assure you that the most important part is always the prevention, and that the actual application of the techniques you learned is always your last resort. But what do we understand under the term prevention? To quote Jackie Chan, the best fights are the ones we avoid. And that is exactly the idea of prevention in self-defense. If we define winning as not being harmed in a self-defense situation, the easiest way to win is by avoiding the fight. And prevention is easier than you think. Prevention starts by the way you behave and live your life. To tell you what you can do in your everyday life, I would like to introduce you to the traffic light system that I personally use because of its simplicity. As you all know, a traffic light has 3 colors: green, yellow, and red. We are going to use the traffic light as an internal warning system in our head. Let's start the typical day of a student. We wake up in the morning in our bed, shower and get dressed, and make our way to the kitchen to find some food for breakfast. Right now, our internal traffic light is on green. We are in a familiar surrounding, we know the people we live with, and we are in our safe space where no strangers can enter. We don't have to worry about anything, we are safe. After breakfast, we're getting our stuff for our lectures and leave the house. Now that we are leaving our safe space, we switch our traffic light to yellow. All that should change is our awareness. We are now aware that we don't know every person we encounter, and we are also aware that we are not in our personal safe space anymore. However, this should not make us feel any more nervous than before. The only thing we should do is to actively perceive our surroundings. This is great for road safety too, by the way. We are now on our way to the lecture theatre. And on the way there, we may pass many strangers and potentially some friends or acquaintances, but nothing out of the usual. As soon as we enter the lecture theatre, we can switch back to green. We know some friends in there, maybe you know most of your peers and your professor or lecturer, so there's no need to be worried. As the day continues, we are switching between green and yellow plenty of times. Maybe you visited a few friends in the afternoon, where you were in green mode. Maybe you were walking outside, go to the park for a walk, where you were in yellow mode. In the evening, we are going to meet some friends in the pub. Now, this is where it can get tricky. At this time of the year, it can get dark quite early, and by the time we get home, even in summer, it might be dark anyway. While you should naturally be in yellow mode anyway, there might be some scenarios where you might want to switch to red. Let's take this opportunity to talk about the difference between yellow and red. Yellow means that you are aware of your surroundings. You actively perceive what is happening around you. Red means you expect danger. There might be suspicious people lurking around, or you are approached by someone and it makes you uncomfortable. Once you switch to red, you are mentally and physically getting ready to defend yourself. For example, you leave the pub and walk home. On your way, you see a hooded person following you. It doesn't matter where you go, the other person is still following you. That would be one scenario where you should switch to red and get ready to defend yourself. Okay, so much for the traffic light system. Now here are some tips and tricks that can help you stay safe. Some of them are fairly obvious, some might not be. Let's start with the 2 most obvious ones. Don't walk alone, always take at least one other person with you, and avoid dark alleys and streets. Essentially, stay somewhere where you can see what is going on around you. That said, don't use headphones when you're walking home alone. The music distracts you, and you cannot hear if someone is approaching you from behind or the sides. Another very important point to consider when it comes to clothing is the functionality. One of the best things in self-defense is running. If you can, always turn around and run. This is where your shoes can have a significant effect on how well you can avoid a fight. In some cases, restrictive clothing can be an issue too, especially now in winter when we are wearing a coat and a scarf. But clothing and accessories are not always a handicap. You can use bags, umbrellas, scarves, and potentially some other common items like keys on a lanyard for self-defense. Be creative, use what you have. If you are walking home and you suspect that someone is following you, call someone. Call your best friend, call your family, or the police. Tell them where you are so that if you get in trouble, that they can send help immediately. It also becomes less likely that you're attacked while talking to someone on the phone. Bring a personal alarm. They don't cost the world and they can help alert people if you need help. They are also incredibly loud and annoying and often drive away attackers. This might not be as easy as you think, but stay away from heavily drunk or drugged people. Drunk or drugged people often can't think straight and are less aware of their actions. They also have lower to none inhibitions, which can make them relatively dangerous at times. Always work on de-escalation first, and don't get provoked. Very common attacks happen after someone was provoked. Let's take a group of drunk adults outside a pub that are calling bypassers names and insult them. While this is certainly not acceptable, the bypassers have two options here. First option, they take the bait and react to the insults, which in most cases only encourages the people insulting and which might lead to a fight. Or the bypassers can use their second option, they just ignore the comments. Of course, this is not always the case, but de-escalation can save you more often than you think. And the last tip I'm going to give you here is a very important one. If you ever get into an attack or robbery where the attacker wields a knife or has a gun, there's only one thing you can do. If they demand your phone or wallet, just give it to them. Don't resist and try to stay as calm as possible. The more you comply, the higher your chance of escaping unharmed. All your personal belongings can be replaced. Your life cannot. There are possibly 100 or more other ways you can apply prevention in your personal life. For the sake of saving some time, I will stop here. But let me know in the comments if you have some ways of how to apply prevention in your life. Before I finish this video, I would like to give you some additional information. First of all, thank you for watching the video so far. I really hope that what I explained can help you to stay safe, but I also have to voice some words of caution. This is not the end of your self-defense training. This video is to make you aware of what you can do, but it does not replace proper self-defense training. One of the most useful qualities for self-defense is confidence. You can gain confidence by attending self-defense classes or by practicing martial arts. It is important to say here that martial arts do not replace the need for self-defense classes. Most martial arts include some self-defense, and they can be a great addition to self-defense techniques, but it is the combination of both that can help you most. And repetition is key. You need to practice self-defense on a regular basis. Just attending one seminar will not make you a master of self-defense. The next point is quite important as well. Don't trust everything you see on the internet about self-defense. I'm not saying that everything is useless or bad, but when you look at something, look at it critically. Think about whether or not it makes sense. I hope I gave you some tips on how to stay safe for now. If you have any questions or feedback, please contact me via social media. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. If you want, you can subscribe to this channel or follow us on social media to receive updates and be among the first to hear when we can resume our in-person self-defense classes. Thanks for watching and see you soon.